I think I just bought the most high-end item I've ever owned, and I bought it from the man behind the $100,000
jacket.
And that's not a lie. That is the level that this designer operates on. That's more than the most expensive item Enfant Riche de Prime has ever sold. That's more than Hermes charges for some of their rarest Birkin bags. That's more than Loro Piana charges for some crazy vicuña yada 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 something or other. It's more than the most expensive Savile Row tailor charges for a suit. For real, whatever dude who makes one-of-one clothes for princes is probably less high-end than this, but let's rewind. It's actually that $100,000 jacket that first put this designer on my radar to begin with. You see, sometime early last year, I started seeing this image pop up in my Instagram feed, a sort of psychedelic image of a Tommy Wiseau looking dude.
That's me.
When I say I started seeing it pop up, I mean like all the time, all right? It's a striking image, no doubt, but especially so when it's paired with the headline above it. The man behind the $100,000 sport coat. It's an undeniably intriguing idea, and I mean, this is kind of the core argument for marketing as a discipline, right? If you bombard people with an idea, it becomes truth to some degree, or even if the person looks at a headline with skepticism, at some level, the idea of this guy, whoever he is, becomes paired with a subconscious idea of the highest luxury imaginable. I mean, $100,000, right? That's not clothing money. That's supercar money. That's Patek Philippe money, all right? It feels almost absurd, unbelievable even, to attach that kind of price tag to clothing. Truly, it's unheard of, and that's something I've watched with curiosity over the years. There seems to be like an invisible ceiling on the value of clothing, even the rarest and most desirable items imaginable, the stuff that, to some degree, crosses over from wearable item to museum display piece, like the rarest Alexander McQueen or Vivienne Westwood items, or even masters like Christian Dior or Yves Saint Laurent, the crown jewels of their output would unbearably struggle to achieve that kind of price tag. So it must take a really special person to be able to pull off something like that. It's almost a sort of financial sartorial magic trick, right? Who could possibly command that kind of investment? Well, his name is
Geoffrey B. Small.
Join Low Luxury Patreon. You may unjustly think it be small, but it's good stuff with good perks. Link in the description.
So, Geoffrey B. Small, not Jeffrey Bean, although the search engines of various fashion marketplaces would really love it if you were searching for Jeffrey Bean. They have so much more to offer you in that case, but no. The smirking man in this psychedelic photo is Geoffrey B. Small, a simple tailor from Boston. And the headline attached to it? Well, the pair comes courtesy of GQ because they wrote a story on him with, in my opinion, one of the best titles in fashion journalism that I've seen in years. And let me tell you, that story did work for Geoffrey B. Small because for months and months, the official GBS Instagram account was serving it up to me as a sponsored post. And it worked on me, and I have to assume it really worked for them, if the marketing spend is anything to judge by. But it's not just an ad, although it worked incredibly effectively as one. It was a real story. I mean, GQ is a real magazine with a solid reputation in fashion journalism, so was this story just clickbait, as I assumed the dozen plus times I initially scrolled past it in my feed? Well, it turns out they're actually downplaying it, if anything, because the retail price on that coat was actually $110,000, and the reason it could command that price was because A, it was made of vicuña and pave diamonds, and B, because it was a Geoffrey B. Small super coat. Keep that like super word in mind because it's going to come up a lot. Anyway, that GQ piece was very good, looking at Geoffrey B. Small's business from an outsider's perspective with both respect and some level of bemusement. And here are the 5 key things I learned from that GQ article. 1. Design-wise, Geoffrey B. Small is in that sort of high-end, handmade, like peasant core realm of aggressively handmade, dark avant-garde tailors like Paul Harnden or Carol Christian Poel. 2. He has a deep knowledge and reverence for materials and craft. I have to admit to being charmed by his knowledge of the family histories of the different textile mills he purchases his top-of-the-line fabrics from, or the provenance of every odd button in his supposedly extensive collection, right? 3. Geoffrey has a great understanding of juxtaposition. He'll title his runway show Just Another Boston Guy while also selling the single most expensive clothing piece in Paris Fashion Week. He understands that there is an alluring dichotomy between selling garments for ungodly amounts of money while intentionally tailoring them to look like the suits of a downtrodden Dust Bowl dweller during the Depression, right? He understands that this dissonance is going to draw people in rather than push them away. 4. He upholds a commitment to small batch, slow fashion in a way that even the slowest fashion designers would look at as molasses-esque, alright? I feel like most brands who really focus on that kind of thing, they keep it within their workshop, for example, in a sort of assembly line or specialist production format, but GBS is a one artisan per item operation. He likens it to how Hermes makes handbags, but a small leather accessory is very different from a suit, for example. I am not sure if you understand how rare and weird his manufacturing process is in the designer fashion landscape. When someone orders a piece from Geoffrey B. Small, that order goes to a single guy or gal, and they do everything from the pattern cutting to the final stitches. That's so weird and anachronistic as to be almost giving Luddite vibes in the modern fashion landscape. 5. Geoffrey B. Small's outlook is kind of off-putting to me. I have to be honest, okay? He says that he does boss wear. He makes clothing for people who run things, right? Then there's the whole super stuff. His coat is a super coat. His studio is a super workroom. His stockists, the places that sell his stuff, are super dealers. He regularly references other absurdly high-end products and services. Ferrari, Patek Philippe, 3-star Michelin restaurants, Koenigsegg Automotive, the best of the best, or maybe the most expensive of the most expensive, or maybe the most lusted after of the lusted after, if I had to guess what he's really after. Now, on paper, no one should have a problem with that. On the surface, it is admirable and even laudable that his mission is to create the absolute best clothes imaginable. Far more designers have far more insidious aims, and the steps that he takes to achieve that level of quality are also commendable. Hiring and training true craftspeople as the discipline of tailoring dies out is honestly of the utmost importance, I think, and using natural fibers like linens and cottons and wools and even finer things, that is very, very preferable to the slop that most brands make their garments out of. There are things about the GBS business that some people might strongly criticize, but I either applaud or at the very least accept them as a necessity if he's going to achieve his mission. For example, the price. Geoffrey B. Small's pieces are absurdly expensive, far more expensive than any comparable piece made by any other name brand. But is anything else comparable? He would certainly say no, and we'll investigate that later for sure. And then there are the hyper-limited production runs. There are very few GBS pieces made, because there are literally only so many pieces that a small staff can pump out with the precision that Small calls for. No two items are ever going to be the same, even if they are ostensibly the same model. Some would call that elitist or maybe artificial scarcity. And maybe it is definitionally elitist, and it's also scarce, but not artificially. Virtually every other designer on Earth makes countless concessions on their mission to scale, to make more clothes, sell more clothes, make more money. If you have consciously made a decision to stay small and stay slow, then scarcity is inevitable, as are high prices. At a certain point, more clothes literally cannot be made with his production methods. If overhead goes up, and overhead always goes up, then prices have to as well. So all of that sounds like a lot of defending and glazing and hand-waving of criticism, right? But I definitely said that I didn't like Geoffrey B. Small's outlook, right? Yeah, even if I totally understand and even enjoy his business model, I don't know if I like the directionality of it. Like, if you're making hyper expensive, hyper artisanal garments that look like hobo clothes to the uninitiated, it seems almost a given to me that your desired customer base would be the weirdo, the artist, the underground freak. I don't know. I'm envisioning like Nick Cave or something, you know what I mean? But no. To Geoffrey, he's making clothes for the boss man, the big boy make world go round guy. And that just seems directionally off. Like, actually, I guess this is my issue with the GQ article as a whole. While it's a great primer into the world of Geoffrey B. Small, it kind of reads to me as the type of piece that was being written about someone like Elon Musk a decade ago. Actually, there are a lot of Musk vibes with GBS in general, like Supercoat or Supercharger, Gigafactory or Super Workshop. What's the difference here? And listen, if there are any Musk apologists in here watching this video, it's time to cover your ears and go la 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 for a few minutes, okay? It actually might be a difficult task, that level of coordination, because those guys, I think they spend most of their time eating Play-Doh. Yeah, so I'm not a Musk fan. I think he's a charlatan ketamine addict who had early visions of grandeur that morphed into a realization of his own mortality, leading to a desire to leave as great a mark as possible on the history books, foregoing morals in favor of attempting to use his wealth to become the Wizard of Oz behind the global oligarchy, right? So just... Yeah, for me, not a good spot to be in, appearing to be the Elon Musk of fashion. Let's take a step back though. Sure, that GQ article was my introduction to GBS, but I found other pieces to be more informative about Small and his eccentric design and business habits, as well as his background. For example, Bliss Foster has done some great coverage of GBS, and big ups to Bliss for being like one of the most genuine and kind people in the fashion content space. And then there's Style Zeitgeist, who covered Small extensively. One article in particular, it's called The Universe of Geoffrey B. Small by the legendary Eugene Rabkin, was especially helpful to me in wrapping my head around this stuff. If GQ is for normies at the airport, then Style Zeitgeist is like for people who have been posting on style forums since 2006, guys who are power mods on multiple men's fashion-related subreddits, just absolute freak shit. My kind of stuff, you know? And content like this really filled in the blanks as to how this Tommy Wiseau-looking American motherfucker ended up making $1,000 garments in Italy. So here's the deal. He was based in the US, honed his skills, and opened up a tailor shop in Boston. Eventually, I suppose he realized he was destined for greater things, moved to Europe, started showing in Paris Fashion Week, the whole 9 yards of being an aspiring sellout. The thing is, though, he reached the apex, the turning point, the inflection point, the thing that every young designer dreams of. Big companies started knocking on his door, like these massive luxury conglomerates, but instead of signing on the dotted line to sell his soul to the devils, he seemingly had a premonition of the road ahead, ghosts of Fashion Week future, and he could see the way it would turn out. It would water his work down, take it out of his hands, his studio, and into factories in whatever country provides the best balance of perceived luxury to low production cost. And he turned the other way, very respectably so, I'd say. He moved to Italy and kind of went back to basics, as much as uber unhinged levels of luxury can be considered basic. And from there, he built out the Geoffrey B. Small business that people know today. Aggressively handmade garments made of hand-dyed fabrics sourced from the most rarefied generational Italian textile producers, right? The kind that money literally can't buy, the type you have to sweet talk your way into by convincing them that you understand the level of craft and quality they provide. That's heavy stuff. In 2016, he supposedly made a maximum of 400 pieces per season. I believe he had to downsize his staff a bit because of COVID weirdness, so if anything, that number may be lower now, and hundreds of pieces of clothing probably seems like a lot to the average person, but to any designer brand with even the smallest amount of name recognition or profile, that's not even enough inventory to get out of bed for. For example, okay, the brand that I cover most heavily is Enfant Riche de Prime. And my longtime viewers probably just groan because I reference them so much, but I promise I'll just bring them up for this one point. Even though they operate in a very different fashion niche than Geoffrey B. Small, they are historically known for limited runs and hyper scarcity. Many years ago, they made a similar commitment that pieces would be made in a maximum of 100 per style, and that was years ago, and I don't believe they've made any commitments like that since, so it may not even be true anymore, but let's say it is true. ERD, they make dozens of styles, models, pieces, whatever you want to call it, per season. Let's be conservative and say it's 80 pieces. That would be 8,000 produced per season. So with 2 seasons per year, that'd put them at 16,000 pieces annually, and they are considered a small brand. Now compare that to the 800 max that GBS makes every year. The level of his smallness is staggering, okay? And with something that small, that niche, you would think it really would be the freaks who would care about it, right? And that's why I find the boss man desired customer of Geoffrey B. Small's so disappointing. Like, why go through all of that trouble of staying independent, staying small, sticking to your guns ethically in terms of scale and quality of production, when the dream end location of the pieces is the closet of some dude who may actively be working to destroy humanity, destroy the earth as a whole? It begins to feel like Nero playing the fiddle as Rome burns. Like, yeah, beauty and art and purity, but also like we're all gonna die, maybe go deal with that first. I do think that there is an inevitability that when you're dealing at that level of pricing, your end customer is going to be very well off, and very well off people, at least sometimes, became that way through immoral means. That's just reality. But if I were a designer at Small's level, I would see that customer as an unfortunate reality and necessity among the true believer weirdos that I really cared about, rather than the type of person I'd ever actively consider courting. But truly, that's the only criticism I can find within myself as it relates to Geoffrey B. Small. I like everything else. I like the nicheness, the avant-gardeness, the exclusivity, the high-end materials, the end-to-end one craftsperson production process. It's all beautiful and pure and almost idyllic in a possibly naive kind of way. I f***ing love it. But let's be real. I'm the punk-influenced fashion guy. My thing is ripped t-shirts and safety pins and repaired patches and chunky sterling silver and leather jackets and yada yada yada. If I'm being honest with myself, I have to admit that I'm probably not the guy to adequately judge the garments themselves. I mean, Geoffrey B. Small considers himself a master tailor and considers his clothing to literally be the very best in the world. And I love that, but there is honestly no way for me to tell you if it is actually true. But I do firmly believe in the saying that you need to know the rules in order to break them. Even if you make avant-garde peasant clothes, I would expect you to, if you were so inclined, be able to make the most kick-ass classic suit that's ever been made. I mean the whole deal, like with the horsehair backing, surgeon's cuffs, perfectly aligned patterns, stab stitching, all pressed perfectly, and the fact that I had to look up half those elements is a great example of why I'm not the guy to judge these things. Which is why I went and found somebody who is. One of the great joys of being a very mildly successful YouTuber is that it gives me access to people who are way more knowledgeable and talented than me. One of the people I've been shockingly lucky to become acquainted with is Derek Guy, aka the Menswear Guy, on Twitter. Remember earlier when I was talking about 2006 style forum Reddit mod menswear freaks? That's Derek, and I say that with love, I promise. Anyway, I really wanted to know, does Geoffrey B. Small's work really reflect the talent of a master tailor? If he's charging more than even the most beloved bespoke tailors in the world, I would kinda hope so, right? Well, Derek was up to the task and had some beautiful knits to pick. For example, hand-stitched buttonholes are typically seen as a sign of a high-quality bespoke suit, and that element is something that is brought up often in pieces about Geoffrey B. Small. However, this hand-stitched buttonhole is apparently something that bespoke tailors call a crushed beetle, basically a pretty darn bad hand-stitched buttonhole. And the pick stitching around the lapel, another element commonly pointed to as a sign of high quality, is seemingly absent, at least in the photos Derek reviewed. And finally, he points out quite a bit of puckering, such as around the outbreast pocket, which in an ideal scenario would look more like this. Puckering and wrinkling is, to my untrained eye, a fairly common occurrence in the work of GBS. So that's that. Gotcha, loser. Master tailor my ass, right? You roasted him, Derek, my man. Whoa. Not so fast. Derek is also, in my opinion, a master of the perspective shift. He's really able to put himself into the shoes of the designer, the customer, and the desired look or set of references they're collectively trying to pull from. And in GBS's case, and I'll quote Derek directly here, Small is not trying to make a traditional bespoke suit. He's doing something that one might imagine a vagabond in a Charles Dickens novel would wear. Such a person would wear the lowest quality tailoring imaginable for the period. These are not gentleman's clothes in the sociological sense, but since he's after a different goal, he executes that look very well. In my opinion, the idea of quality should be contextualized in terms of the person's aesthetic goals. Derek also has some reverence for the one-man, one-bench production model that Small uses, pointing out that it's a rarity but does happen here and there in the UK, and it's a bit more normalized in Hong Kong, which is another market known for bespoke tailoring. So, in the end, even someone like Derek, someone renowned for their ability to point out everything that is substandard in a garment, has to give Small his flowers to one degree or another. His aims appear largely noble, his practices are at the very least thought-provoking, and he is quite perfectly serving up the style that his customers are looking for. Does his work stand up to the masters of the space, Paul Harnden and Carol Christian Poel? Alternatively, is there anyone else working within this broad aesthetic who offers like a similar quality with more accessibility for the average curious customer, one who may not have $10,000 to invest in what could end up being like a short-lived flight of fancy into the dark avant-garde? Those are big questions. One's way too big for this video, but let me know if you'd be interested in the future, comment below, and get subscribed. That being said, one thing we can do is evaluate the work of Geoffrey B. Small for what it is in isolation. I started this video by saying I bought the most high-end piece I've ever owned. That's not true. I actually bought 2, or 3, depending on how you count. I got my hands on a Geoffrey B. Small shirt and a crown jewel, a grail, a 2-piece suit. In pretty much every article written about his work, it's said that photos and videos don't do it justice. You have to see it, feel it, wear it in person. So that's what I'm gonna do. You're still gonna see it on video. Sorry, I can't The Ring my way out of the screen and show it to you myself, but I will show you every detail, the quality, or perhaps the lack thereof. I'll wear them, you can see the fit, hear about the feel. I think this is the only way to truly evaluate the work of Geoffrey B. Small. So, let's check it out. So this right here, right in front of me, is a t-shirt by Geoffrey B. Small. Yeah, we'll work up to this suit. We gotta get there, you know? And this, you can tell immediately, is not a normal t-shirt, like, in any way. There is nothing typically t-shirt-like about this, except for the vague T shape of the cut. So let's work from like the outside in, right? So it is extremely textured, first of all. That's not just like something in the weave, like that is 3D. Some parts come out more than others. At the hem, you've got kind of an asymmetrical one where the front is quite a bit shorter, maybe 2 inches shorter than the back, with quite a high split side. The sleeve is almost comically long, with a much wider hem than you would normally see there. The collar isn't a rib knit or anything, it's just kind of like a rolled over, double-faced version of the same fabric that's used here. They're also not using the current standard like double safety stitch at the cuffs here, nor are they using the kind of in vogue single stitch. It is, I guess, a single stitch, but not like the kind of sideways one that you see on a vintage t-shirt. And the back now you can see is very long, leaving me to wonder if the intent was for this to be tucked in, perhaps? And then looking to the neck tag, the only branding we have here whatsoever is this neck tag. Professional clean only, Geoffrey B. Small, all handmade, Italy, kind of, I don't even know the name of this stitch, like tack stitched along the top, and a faded size tag, although if I had to guess, I'd say this was probably a small, maybe a medium. Now, what is it made out of? I don't know, because there are no care tags or anything, and while that is annoying, I find it completely understandable because Geoffrey B. Small is by no means making his pieces with the intent that it will later be worn and bought by other people down the road. The assumption is that these pieces are bought by the original buyer and kept forever because they are that sort of heirloom type of piece. So why would you need to put in a fabric tag, composition tag or something when the person who bought it knows what it is because they were there and they bought it and they talked to the sales associate about it, whatever. Now, if I had to guess, I would strongly suspect that this is linen. That's the kind of vibe that it has to me, very much so, and I know Geoffrey B. Small uses a significant amount of linen in his work, but I guess I could also believe it if you were to tell me it was like a very natural cotton or something, or some type of blend. But it really is all about that texture. Like, that is the kind of star of the show here. Now, as to quality and price and things like that, I mean, I have to assume that this one had a retail price of at least $500, quite potentially a lot more than that. So with a price like that, you're going to be expecting quality, right? So is this high quality? Is it up to the task of its price tag here? Well, there is literally only so much quality you can get from a t-shirt. Maybe that should be Geoffrey B. Small's next mission, not the $100,000 jacket, but like the $10,000 t-shirt, make it like the best t-shirt ever made. But no, I mean, the t-shirt, the quality level maxes out much lower than other more complex types of silhouettes. But obviously the fabric is very nice, much nicer than the average jersey that's used in a t-shirt. Everything is finished very well. Like, you can see where those two seams meet here. It is about as clean a plus as it gets. So look at this kind of area on some of the other shirts you own. You will see how messy it can really get and how little care some brands might put into the little things like that. And at the inside, everything is finished very, very well. Like, it is not a super raw, like serged type of thing on the inside. It is kind of like rolled in and finished very cleanly in the way a more tailored piece might be. But really, that's about the most I can say about it, is that it is at the very least not disappointing for what it is expected to be. Like, sure, it is about as good as you could expect a high-end t-shirt to be quality-wise. But we all know that the t-shirt is by no means the star of the show here, right? So I think it's about time we talk about this suit, am I right? So here's what we got. We have got a two-piece men's suit here, and I guess you would call this like a summer suit. We can start by looking at the jacket here, and what do I mean by that? So if we zoom in, you can see at the back here, you can see the light through that. Like, you can see the white of my wall through the jacket itself. That is not normal, I would say, for a suit jacket, right? And why is that? Well, your average suit jacket, even a light one, such as this Joseph Abboud collection jacket that's made with Super 120's Loro Piana wool, you don't see any light through it, and that's because it is fully lined. It's lined in like a nice light Cupro, rayon, whatever fabric, but it is fully covered and faced and finished. And at most, if you're like really trying to lighten things up, you might see something like what they did with this vintage Harris tweed jacket, where they did it like partially lined, half lined. You can see this is kind of just hanging around, and it stops about halfway down the back. But even then, like, the insides of the breasts are fully lined, the sleeves are fully lined. It's really just the back where they leave it open, and they're gonna vent it so you just get like extra airflow. And they're probably doing that because this is a heavy tweed. It's very like warm and itchy, and it's wool, you know? So going back to this Geoffrey B. Small piece, being just essentially completely unlined is very odd. It's something I essentially never see, and I do buy and sell a lot of tailoring. But I guess the question then is like, is he cutting corners? Well, I don't think so. Because take a look at this. This is the back seam. It's going straight down the center of the back. And these are finished really beautifully. I believe they are piped, I guess would be the term, in silk, which is beautiful. Speaking of which, we get some information about what this was made for along the inside of this piping, which is, again, something I've never seen before. So I believe that says Hirschleifers, which is a store, but this beats me. It looks like it says 9/11. Although it would be really funny if this was like the iconic Geoffrey B. Small 911 jacket. His edgiest work yet, you know? But finishing off the lining talk, you can see the sleeves are also unlined, but again, the seam is piped. But just along the sides, again, something I've never seen before, it is lined, and it's in this kind of iconic patchwork lining that Geoffrey B. Small is known for, and that is done in silk, essentially always. Very cool pattern on that too. Another thing that I pointed to as being a sign of high bespoke quality in suiting are surgeon's cuffs, basically functional working cuffs. So taking a look here, we have 3 buttons, and I can feel the button there. This is almost certainly going to come right out here. Doing this with one hand is absurdly difficult. There we go, that worked. And that looks very much like a handmade buttonhole to me, and it doesn't look like a bad one, I would say. I mean, to my very, very untrained eye, that looks solid. And the buttons themselves, which Geoffrey B. Small supposedly handpicks for every piece out of his extensive and rare collection, they look very good. I'm by no means a button connoisseur, but they look very solid. The texture is nice. I'm guessing those are horn. And that texture carries over to the main buttons as well, of which there are 3. I would say that for suit jackets these days, a 2-button seems to be the norm. 3, it really does feel a little bit more vagabond-esque, which fits. The fabric itself is a striped linen, I believe, but again, you would not know it from any of the tags, because again, all you get is the Geoffrey B. Small tag itself here. And you will note that this is tagged a size small, so it doesn't use the normal, I don't know, suiting sizing, like it doesn't go 36, 3840 or 46, 4850 in Italian sizing. It's just small, medium, large, I suppose. As for the lapel, I believe you would call this a peak lapel, although it is attached here very interestingly. Very cool though, button inside here, which will allow you to button it right there. What a weird place for a buttonhole. Again, that is not something I normally see, and another sign of the kind of, I don't know, liberties that Geoffrey B. Small takes with the tailoring. The back is very clean, nothing too crazy being done there, except a nice shape to the seam coming in here, and you will see double vented at the back, I believe, and again, every seam finished very nicely, and the vent doesn't come up, I'd say, quite as high as the average for a jacket that I've seen, but very nice. All right, let's talk pants. And I will say, I think there's less to talk on these than there was on the jacket, because these are clean and simple. It's the same fabric, of course, with alternating pattern for the waistband. Nice touch. And an incredibly straight leg. Like, that barely changes in terms of the measurement, I would say, from thigh to ankle. And at the back, you get a single pocket at the right cheek. And of course, you've got pockets at each side as well. But one thing that you're probably seeing is this is much, much, much closer to the kind of cut of a pair of sweatpants than a pair of suiting trousers. Like, it's not pleated, there are no belt loops along the waist, there is no fly, there's a drawstring. Like, yeah, for all intents and purposes, they're sweatpants. But that goes back to the summer suit thing. He's going for something much more dressed down and casual than your typical suit. At the hem, there is a significant amount of extra fabric here. Again, finished beautifully, so I mean, these could be let out if I needed to, so that's good to know. I actually quite literally don't see a stitch here, which is crazy. I think it's there, but I can't see it. Again, there are no tags other than the brand tag inside the waistband. This one actually a hybrid size, small, medium. But again, every raw edge finished perfectly, nothing jagged in sight, you know? I will say I find the sizing incredibly interesting, because this, for being tagged a small medium, is massive for the waist. Like, I'm gonna take a stab, I'm gonna guess this is a 36-inch waist, if not more. And yep, that is 36.5 inches. Am I a master? How can I eyeball a waist within half an inch? I'm getting good at this, man. You should probably subscribe to my channel, I'm pretty smart. Now let me just say here, Geoffrey B. Small is not an idiot. Clearly, he knows how tailoring works, he knows how clothing works, how sizing works, so I can only imagine it has to be intentional, that what he is intending is that it's going to have a cinched waist from that drawstring there, and that is an intended part of the look. That's gotta be the answer. So, Is this a ripoff? Is the quality terrible? Is Geoffrey B. Small a bad tailor? Is his work just a bad idea to get into at all? I don't think so. I have not found anything here to be significantly unimpressed by. I am sufficiently wowed. Like I said, I deal with a lot of tailoring, and at a certain point, you can tell by look and feel whether something is generally high quality or not, and this is not sounding any alarm bells for me. It feels great, and it looks very good too. Honestly, what it reminds me more of is every once in a while, once in a blue moon, I will get a piece from like, I don't know, a high-end like Savile Row type UK tailor or a Hong Kong bespoke tailor. And with those things, you get them and you can tell immediately they are very, very well made. The materials are good, the finishings are good. But every once in a while with pieces like that, there are just intricacies. There are bizarre elements to them or things that just are a bit irregular, whether it's because the customer asked for them or just the complexities of making things entirely by hand from scratch. But that's kind of the same vibe I get from this. There are weird elements that you wouldn't get from anybody else in any other discipline doing it in any more scaled up way. But I think that's what people love about it, and I think I'm starting to love it as well. All right, I feel like that was incredibly enlightening, and we have a much better idea of what this guy is up to now that we've seen it in detail up close. But there is another piece to the puzzle. It's not just about how it looks on the rack on a hanger, right? It's about how it looks on the body, how it feels, how it drapes, all of these things. So it is time to try these pieces on. Let's see how they look. Interesting. This looks quite good. I'm not mad about it. So this is clearly the GBS two-piece suit, the GBS t-shirt, which I've tucked in, and then Boris Bijan Saberi red leather boots with this very interesting avant-garde heel. I just thought it would be interesting to add a pop of color, and kind of it's the same general, design universe of the avant-garde there. First of all, I have no idea how Geoffrey B. Small does it. This does give credence to the idea that he is a master, because these pants look, feel, and fit awesome. I don't know how you go from a 36 plus inch waist on the pants themselves to a person like me who has like a 29, 30 inch waist, and when you cinch it shut, have it actually make sense and be cut and tailored perfectly. That doesn't add up to me. It feels like magic. I think also a very important piece of the puzzle there is that the drawstring feels to be made of cashmere, actually. I just noticed that. The jacket also fits me shockingly well. I do typically wear a size small, so this adds up for me, but I am quite broad-shouldered for a small, and sometimes on tailoring, the sleeve of a small is a bit short on me, but here, this hits perfectly. Maybe you can make the argument it's a tiny bit short, but the thing is, with something unlined like this, a summer suit, you're probably not going to be wearing a long-sleeve dress shirt under it, so this is the only cuff you're going to be having, so it makes more sense. And having the functional cuffs with the buttons here is really nice, especially for the entire vibe here. It all adds up. Everything is kind of synergistic in a way, because you can unbutton those and then roll them up just like you would a button-down dress shirt or whatever. And that makes for a really nice tailored look. Buttoning it shut in a more classical way, it also looks good. The pop of gray from that drawstring works a lot better than I would have expected. And I personally really love it when you button it all the way up. That inclusion of the button with the more or less hidden buttonhole inside the lapel is such a cool touch. The back, again, the pants fit surprisingly well. That back pocket is really nice and spacious and cut well. The double vent is very nice. It makes for just a really nice shape, I would say. The collar hits the back of my neck perfectly, by the way. Crazy, really crazy fit here. Oh my God, crazy. So here's literally my only criticism I have of this. You may note that there's a weird kind of like bulge going all the way along the right side of my chest, the left side for you. And I've really tried to gently press it. I try not to go too hard. I'm not like an expert at this stuff yet, but I did my best to do it well. And I just like can't get rid of that bulge. No, not that bulge, you dog, you. You get your mind out of the gutter, man. Come on. Anyway, as far as I can tell, that bulge is happening because of the inner breast pocket. Because that pocket is made out of the same linen as the jacket itself, and I kind of turned it inside out to take a look, and it's quite pillowy. Like it's airy, it has like a puffiness to it, and I think that puffiness is carrying over into the jacket itself in the look, and the pocket and the extra fabric are kind of sticking to the actual jacket fabric itself and creating that kind of persistent, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a ridge. So I'm sure it would come out with some work, either on my part or a professional's part, but it makes me wonder for a suit this light, if it would have been wise to maybe use the silk that's used at the lining for the pocket, and then you probably wouldn't have that problem at all, because that's why you use like a silk or rayon lining or something, because it doesn't have any stickiness with the wool, linen, cotton, whatever the suit's made out of. Or maybe like an extra stitch to really tamp down the edges of the pocket so it doesn't puff out so much. Listen to me, am I telling Geoffrey B. Small how to tailor right now? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't know what you do about this. I'm just noting the issue in a broad sense, my God. Anyway, I really love this. I see the appeal. This is so sick, it really is. I'm suitably impressed. Taking the jacket off, just wearing this kind of as a pair of sweatpants and getting a better look at the t-shirt too. It looks great. Those sleeves are awesome. It's like a slightly dropped shoulder. That fabric is awesome, the heaviness. It's got a kind of interesting neck that really, frames up the face. It feels strong in a way. And untucking it, going like hyper casual, suddenly it's feeling much more just like out and about for the day. Very, very relaxed and comfortable. And again, I see the appeal here for that ease that people go to GBS stuff for. Putting the jacket back on with the shirt untucked, it kind of has that now like Silicon Valley presentation vibe where they're like, yeah, I'm wearing a suit, but like it's not a suit, you know what I mean? But actually, I kind of like the proportions of this untucked as well. Very cool. Damn, GBS. When you wear it, when you feel it, you really start to understand why some people are just such freaks about it. And I'm not a boss man. I'm not a big boy run world type man, okay? And I can enjoy it too. So, hey, maybe someone like me could be your customer in the future. And it doesn't have to be the Elon Musk of fashion. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. All right, interesting. Make sure you comment below. Let me know how you feel, what you think about all of the above. I really put a lot of thought and effort into this video and tried to investigate every angle I possibly could within my skill set and even outside of my skill set. I hope you enjoyed it. Share the video around. I really think it's doing something interesting, I hope, within this subject matter. Let me know what you think. Get subscribed. We're going to have more videos in this realm, I really hope. So I'll see you next time. Peace.